The latest arc of the Star Wars comic has Yoda go all Gandalf on a giant living mountain. So this seems like the perfect time to not only talk about this bizarre new creature in the Star Wars canon, but discuss its possible and unlikely inspirations from Star Wars legends. Shortly before the events of The Phantom Menace, Yoda feels the call of the Force and travels to a previously unknown planet called Vagadar, where he finds children in the middle of a tribal war. They're fighting over control of what they call stone power, which is an aspect of the Force that Yoda is completely unfamiliar with. He travels into a mountain to learn more about these mysterious blue stones, and inside he meets a young boy named Garo, who teaches Yoda to control the stone power. Being a Grand Master of the Jedi Order, Yoda catches on very quickly and realizes these stones are alive with the Force because they are, in fact, alive. He awakens the mountain and urges the children to live in harmony together, but the more aggressive group takes control of it to attack their enemies. Yoda in turn stops the massive creature with his newfound skills, and then awakens more of the living mountains who were slumbering underground. Decades later, Luke Skywalker reads about this story in the journals of Obi-Wan Kenobi, in which Yoda goes unnamed. He also travels to Vagadar and finds Garo still alive. He reveals that the power of the planet has diminished and that the stone creatures are fading away. At first, Garo attacks Luke, but then decides to provide his own life force so that the living mountains can survive. It would appear to me that these new creatures are made up of something similar to kyber crystals. I doubt they would power a lightsaber, but hey, I could be wrong, no one's tried that yet. Kyber crystals were known as living crystals, and these rocks definitely fit that description. They have power in the Force, but exactly what kind is unclear. The new canon has gone to great lengths to introduce new ways to understand and relate to the Force. The Lasat have their own abilities. The Guardians of the Whills, or at least Chirrut, definitely have some powers. The Night Sisters have their magic, and the stone power of the living mountains is just another to add to the list. But did you know this isn't the first time a living mountain has been shown in Star Wars? The comics of Star Wars Legends also had a sentient mountain named Mount Sorrow. He or it, or whatever pronoun you call a literal mountain with a face, was located on Endor. As the name implies, Mount Sorrow was in a constant state of depression, and its tears were known to cure a sickness the Ewoks called the Perilous Laughing Spell. Now, I don't know whether or not Mount Sorrow provided any inspiration for this latest arc of the Star Wars comic, but this is the second time the new canon comics have updated a similar story from Legends, the first being the Ordo Aspectu in the Dr. Aphra comic. The decision to wipe away Star Wars Legends from the canon is still a controversial one, but I would argue that this updating is definitely a positive thing. The Living Mountain of Sorrow has been named before as one of the dumber things to come out of Star Wars, and yet now we have another story involving a living mountain, but done much differently and arguably much better. I've always firmly believed that by resetting the canon, Lucasfilm would be able to keep all the best parts about Star Wars Legends and include them in new stories over time. But it would appear that they also intend to include and improve upon very obscure things, like Rur and the Order of the Terrible Glare, and now Mount Sorrow as well. What obscure pieces of Star Wars Legends would you like to see updated? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to keep up with Star Wars news and lore videos every single day, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.